We got something big coming into Tennessee. You're probably going to get it in Texas. You need to be weather alert, is what I guess I call it. You remember not too long ago, a whole bunch of people got stuck on a highway. They were out there for 20 hours, and that was probably one of the most uncomfortable things they had to go through. Most were not prepared. They had people walking down the lanes, going by the house, by the cars, handing them chocolate bars or whatnot. There was no bathrooms, no facilities. If they had to go to the bathroom, they'd open the door and open both doors and kind of do their business right there and hope the cars couldn't see them. You got to go, you got to go. I wonder how many actually had toilet paper in their vehicle. Now, we have on Thursday coming into my area a low of 13 Fahrenheit, minus 10 Celsius, winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. That is at nighttime. Now, people in the north would laugh at this, but in Tennessee, we don't usually get weather like this, okay? And people in Texas don't. We have snow during the morning. We're going to have snow showers during the afternoon. It's going to be 29 Fahrenheit, minus 2 Celsius, and the winds are going to be 10 miles an hour. We have a 100% chance of snow, 3 to 5 inches. Again, in the north, people would laugh at this. But in Tennessee and in Texas, 3 to 5 inches is death. The people here do not know how to drive in snow. They really don't. The one year I actually took my truck down to the grocery store parking lot here in town, and I took my truck and started doing donuts. I actually had people outside clapping as if I was Evil Knievel or something. They were so impressed with it. When we got out of the truck and walked to the store, people were amazed that we could walk like we were walking on a normal sidewalk because we came from the north. So, but everybody else was hanging on to everything, every little door handle, or they could walk. They were not used to it. You knew which people were from the north and which ones weren't when they just walked normal or couldn't. Now, you got some things to consider. If you're in Texas, this is coming your way. So don't be stupid and ignore it and watch the news and sit back and say, oh, look at that, we're going to be cold, have to turn the heat up. Don't be that stupid, please. When this happens, we have a procedure that we do here in my house. Right away, we fill up five of the 5 gallons plastic water containers that you flip over on water machines. You buy them in front of the grocery store. We have 5 of those jugs. We fill them with water. They're reasonable. They're a little heavy, but we can lift them. Those are in case the pipes break and we have to fill the back of the toilet to flush it. If your pipes break, and they very well could in this weather, do you have tools ready to shut the water off? Can you go out to the road, pull the metal thing off to the top, pair of vice grips, couple wrenches, and shut that off at the road? Because that's going to cost you some big money if you don't shut that out. So you got a way to flush your toilet because you put some water away. But do you want to have a tea? Do you want to have a coffee? Do you want to have something hot while you're sitting there all day with no water? A lot of food requires water. We fill another five gallon pails with lids with water. They're sitting out there on the floor. We can cook quick meals. We can have tea, coffee, whatever we choose. What if the electricity goes out? That's happened before. That's not a big deal. I have generators. I can turn them on. They'll keep things going. They're not made to run the entire house. I can run the fridge, the wash machine. I mean, I can run a few things. I do have 2 generators, but most people don't. You want to be ready with a camp stove if you don't have one. You want to have something to cook on. Any way to make your life more comfortable. Do you want a sleeping bag? I mean, you could lose heat. You lose heat in the house and you go down to 29 degrees. That's going to be cold. You're going to be looking and layering your clothing, getting the sleeping bag on, and it depends what type of sleeping bag you got. I got sleeping bags that go down to minus 30 if push comes to shove. Now you're not going to carry those in a backpack. Those were bought specifically for in case something big happens, we can stay warm. Staying warm, eating, and flushing that toilet is key. So make sure you can do it. You don't need to spend bucks of money. I don't even need to put a link in the bottom. I'm sure you have some pails. I'm sure you have some things. If you don't, tomorrow get your butt down to the store and buy some plastic pails. They're cheap. And fill them up with some water and stuff and get ready. You don't want to be sitting there with 20 loads sitting in the toilet and now you can't flush your toilet. That is nasty. Really nasty. So really, really consider what's coming here in the next 2 days. Now, after that, we're going to warm up again. So, no big deal. But most people tend to just sit and wait and see what happens. It's if like their eyes are like a deer in the headlights. I mean, it just makes no sense to me. Everybody in the house took a shower today. Everybody got cleaned up. We may not have water tomorrow. We may have to wait 2 days before those pipes unfreeze. Now, I installed PEX piping in my house, which does not break. It can break, but it normally doesn't. PEX piping will expand and it will come back after it thaws out, basically. And there was one time we had our pipes freeze and it got really wet. It rained a lot. And when it rained, the water came up. And I have a concrete kennel in the back for my dogs, and I have about 10 dogs. Well, it lifted up all the turds and the water went under the house. And then the pipe broke. Didn't have PEX then. Well, when that thawed out, a couple days later, I went outside, I looked under the house, and I went, you got to be kidding me. I could see where the pipe was broke. It literally was a $20 fix, but I had to crawl through all the landmines. And that was not impressive. I had to go in the house, find the worst clothes I could find because they're definitely going in the garbage, and just basically hold your breath and crawl through it and then fix the pipe and then crawl out. Later, we cleaned it up, but it had to be fixed, and that was it. And saying that was a shitty job. Well, anyhow, after that, I was looking on the internet, and this was over 10 years ago. I was looking on the internet, and I noticed people were installing PEX piping, and I installed it. And I've had my pipes freeze every year, once or twice. And when it does, the pipes expand. They can break, they say, but I've never had mine break. And when the pipes thawed out, everything back to normal. All of a sudden, all your pipes had water. So consider that. Also, it's going to, when it goes down to that, you might prevent your pipes from freezing if you start opening all the doors. Open the doors in the kitchen, on the kitchen cupboards, open the doors in the bathroom, get some heat going inside where those pipes are. That might make a big difference to also prevent your pipes from freezing. But all this is a possibility. So think about that. What happens if my pipes freeze? What do I lose? You lose your toilet, you lose your faucets. What happens? You need to put water away. Not a lot of money, put some away. What happens if the power goes out? Like it did in Texas, I think it was last year or the year before. Do you have a sleeping bag? Do you have multiple blankets to cuddle in? Do you have clothes you can layer in? Can you sit out the storm for 1 or 2 days until things warm up? In 2 days, we're going to be back up to 50, 60 degrees. And it's crazy what the weather's like here sometimes. I mean, we go right down to, like I said, 13 Fahrenheit minus 10 Celsius. And then all of a sudden, a couple days later, we're back into the 50s. And that's why when I go out backpacking, I really got to think ahead and not just depend on the weatherman. Sometimes they're wrong. And I really have to consider what I'm taking. Sometimes I take a bit too much because I don't want to be caught out there freezing my ass off, basically. But I would rather be ready and carry a little extra weight than be out there shivering. That doesn't make for a very fun time. So, really consider what you need to put away in case something happens. And if you guys want, there's a cool channel you might want to check out if you're into camping. There's a guy named Orion. Orion? Orion. And I find him interesting. He's into flint and steel. All his channel is about is flint and steel. If there's a rock out there, this guy bought it. If there's something that creates a spark, this guy bought it. And he makes his own steel too. He goes to some buddy's house where he makes his own, which is kind of interesting. But he buys rock from Etsy. He buys it from eBay. And I'm like, you're shipping rock. But he's really curious on if these different rocks will create different sparks. So it is quite interesting. I'm watching him do this. So if you like fire making or you like camping, you might want to go check out Orion's channel and sub him up. He doesn't have that many subs, and he might enjoy having a few more. Okay, prep up. Get ready. A storm is coming. In Texas, you get ready the next day because you're getting it next. Catch you guys on the next one.